Welcome back to our series on Ayurveda. In the previous video, we examined the fundamental concept and the fundamental understanding of Ayurveda as a holistic science. At this point, I would like to ask you, Dr. Kesarkar, about this very important misconception or perhaps limitation. Because as soon as we utter the word Ayurveda, our inherent, for those of us who know a little bit of Ayurveda, our inherent instinct, is to go into what we know about the doshas. And in fact, there are thousands of quizzes online to talk about doshas as if that is the only thing in Ayurveda. And so, could you tell us a little bit about what doshas are and how Ayurveda is much more than the theory of the three doshas?
Thank you, Kavita ji, for having me on your channel. It's a very interesting question. Before we understand doshas, we have to understand why people put these quizzes online. There is I won't say economic, but there is a propagatory thought process behind it, because everyone wants to seek from science something which they can connect with. So Ayurveda talks about individuality, of how exactly you are different from others on all aspects, maybe eating food, sleeping habits, how we'll make choices in life, what kind of foods are okay with you, what kind of foods are not okay with you. And this particular individuality comes from your doshic combination. Not only doshic combination, there are other subtle levels, like what kind of a dhatu you are, a lot of pathophysiological things which an Ayurveda doctor evaluates. Not that is not the only thing, but people evaluate in making prescriptions for you. But when you put it online in your dosha type, in a much fun way, it helps you understand why you are different. So I think maybe that has stemmed from that portion to propagate Ayurveda. But as you rightly said, is Ayurveda only about these quizzes or dosha types, and what is their significance and importance? We have to understand that a lot of time people, I'm not talking about India, nowadays when internet has increased and information is available, a lot of books are available, a lot of people who connect with Ayurveda as a medical science not necessarily come from a medical background. Of course, if I have done like an institutional Ayurveda from a college, that is a different thing. But a lot of people who take up Ayurveda, maybe in the West, in Europe, they have their own purposes of why they have gone to Ayurveda. And that is the reason why their understanding of pathophysiology becomes much more difficult to cross over to these concepts. So you have to start with something, and these concepts of individualism, holistism, be one with nature, all these concepts are so difficult to pass down in an easy way. This kind of a trickle down effect, this kind of a solubility, or I can say dilution, might be the cause which has built over a period of time, when people wanted to globalize Ayurveda for economic gains, and people wanted to understand and take it back in a much fun way. Coming back to your question of what these doshas are. So dosh, or anything or any concepts which are mentioned in Ved, because those do not come from Ayurveda, they come from Ved. We understand these tattvas come from cosmology, of how exactly the entire cosmos is being formed in a much layered form on foundational blocks. It's like there is a foundational block, through it another block is created, through it another block is created. Like an example I can give of Lego bricks. A lot of people have these Lego toys. So there are a lot of bricks which can join with each other to form any shape. But when you break it, they are just this foundational bricks, which can join with each other. So when you talk about doshas, they lie at a subtle foundation of cosmology. So these are forces in nature, in cosmos. I won't use nature, the word nature. When I use cosmos, it encompasses a lot of any manifestation, universes, multi-universes. So we see that in the cosmos, nothing can act without movement. Even if now I am speaking with you, my voice has to go to your ears. From ears, it has traveled to somewhere on a subtle level. In the brain, also, certain things which have to fire. And then maybe you will understand certain things. But this transmission of my voice to you, this concept of motion at any level, at a gross level or a subtle level, it could be, the earth moving around itself, or it could be just, an essence that, there is some virus in the air, right? What is going on right now? This concept of motion, wherever you perceive motion, is understood by Vata dosh. It can be understood with logic, or it can be understood when we are doing certain things, like you have a wind flowing, so you can see there is some movement, you understand there is a specific movement happening. Or you can just sit down and, like, I'm talking with you, it cannot happen if something is not reaching you. Even if there is a Wi-Fi signal, you know that something data is moving. We cannot see it, it is moving, like how you hear songs on radio, something is moving. So that is understood as Vata dosha. Now what happens after that? The second stage is it has to transform to make some sense out of it. Like if I'm talking with you in English, so the sound is going, you're thinking that you're hearing words, but you're not hearing my words. You're automatically transforming whatever is reaching your eyes and making sense of it in your way. Like if I'm using a particular word, I'm not sure if you know the exact meaning of it, because one word can be used in many contexts. Similarly, if I raise my voice, you can feel that I'm shouting on you. If I'm lowering my voice, you can feel that I'm trying to be a little bit humble. So the word I'm using, I perceive that the people who are listening on this video, or you yourself, are getting the right kind of translation. What I'm thinking, the words which I'm selecting, are they conveying the right message which I want to convey? But this is different for different people. My concepts might, some people watching your video might agree, some people might not agree, some people might not find my words confusing, some people might find my accent confusing. So this transformation which is happening on a subtle level is understood by Pitta. The same thing when you eat food, we say, okay, this is healthy food. But to make it healthy, it has to go into your system and transform in that particular way, not only on the gross level, but also on the subtle level. So whenever there is a kind of transformation, it could be like a small kid growing into an old man. We see there is a transformation. This transformation very well, like a new star is formed, a new star is getting destroyed. This transformation, even seasons, all anywhere you see a transformation, that is understood by Pitta. And the third force, which is very logical, is that for something to move and transform and sustain, there has to be a stability. Like for example, if we consider that the moon is revolving around the earth, so we know that it is because of the revolution there is transformation, we are getting seasons, we are getting tides. But it is not that today the moon is rising at one time, tomorrow it's saying I won't rise. There is a specific stability which is keeping that motion going, even at the gross level, even at a level. Even if some star is getting formed, some star is living his life, some star is getting destroyed, there is a stability behind it. It is not happening random. For us, certain things might be random, but in that randomness also there is some kind of stability. It could come completely to us or inconspicuously to us. Like if a lockdown is in force, we feel it is random, but again it has some stability. So wherever we find a stability, that in this process of moving forth, coming back, transformation, there is a kind of stability which is having a cascading effect at the micro and the macro. This is understood by Kapha. So when these forces were understood on a cosmic level, we understand that because I said that it is a cascading level, in any manifestation from a bacteria to a virus to a humans will have this stability in them. There's something will start growing, something will start transforming, something will live its life. Like you're a doctor, so RBCs have a particular shell life. So when they die early or they increase more, you understand it is disease pathologically. There are certain things which are in perfect motion in your blood. There could be thyroid or whatever things in modern pathology do. But moment they are increase in particular way or decrease in particular way, we understand, oh, there must be some trouble. So what are this? This is again these doshic concepts that on our level, whatever you are eating, the food has to go down somewhere. It's like motion, so that is Vayu. Then even in that food, the acid to secrete, it has to flow. There is a motion, that is Vayu. When that acid puts, Vayu is bringing everything together, dosha. It is converting, transformation is happening. It is Pitta. That food has to stay somewhere for a particular period of time. That is stability. Because suddenly if you put food and it comes out, no use. Suddenly you put food and you are getting diarrhea, it is no use. So this is Kapha. So when we start understanding this small doshic components on our subtle system, we understand on a gross level, we are also the same. Like if I talk with you, if I'm talking very fast, it is because my Vayu is like that. I'm thinking fast, I'm talking fast. Maybe I'm grasping fast. Sometimes, So we see these layers of these properties which I told you in every individual in unique combination. And this unique combination from gross to subtle is the doshic component. It is not like you take a quiz and you understand it. It is for fun purpose, it is fine. But we have to understand that what notions we had about love, food 10 years back, you might not have it. So if you take a doshic quiz 10 years back and you take it now, you will see some things have changed. But doshic components never change. Your prakriti never changed. So prakriti, and we say when you go beyond your constitution, it is a term which comes as vikriti. So this is something which only a practitioner, only someone who has understood over a period of time will know it. The third question which you asked, I'll just take a little bit of time, is doshas everything? So I'll say no. Doshas are all encompassing. But gross level, it is not required that you have to just find doshas in everything. There are 8 types of diagnostic methods, and these are not only related to Ayurveda. These are the only ways you can test any individual in any pathy. So let us say there is urine, feces, there is sometimes people see vomit, blood. So they say there are only, out of all this kind of, some people see pulse, of all this diagnostic method, there are only 3 methods. See how the cascading effect happens. There is darshan when you see someone. Now seeing can be urine, feces, anything. Sparshan when you touch someone. It could be aspiration, palpation, whatever you do in modern science. And prashna when you are asking someone. So see, now you take these 3. How are they only related to Ayurveda? Even your modern medicine, whatever things you do, you're doing only on these 3 things. So in this, whatever you do cannot be beyond the doshas if you understand it. But not necessarily when you're diagnosing someone, you're using the doshic component. So it depends upon the practitioner of how exactly he's trying to understand the life which is in front of him, his stability or her stability towards the environment, and how exactly he can help to keep it stable. Because body is already dying. The moment you're born, you're dying. But between birth and death, there is a stability where all these 3 doshas, even though they are corrupting the body, they are being stable at gross and subtle level. How can I stabilize it? And that is where this dosha type, this quizzes, what you say, make a contributory aspect in understanding human life.
Thank you for that absolutely wonderful explanation. So one of the things that I see quite often in even my patients who have a little bit of knowledge of Ayurveda, or in various sanghas and various groups where there is a discussion of Ayurveda, of quickly coming to the conclusion that, oh, your vata is overactive or your pitta is low or something like that, based on superficial kinds of assessments. And thank you for explaining that it's much more than that. So essentially what we understand then is that dosha is a concept that comes from the overall Vedic knowledge, not just in Ayurveda. And there are 3 doshas through which we can explain not just the human body, but all of the natural phenomena. And that includes, the movement of the galaxies, or the movement of the, the various planetary bodies and their birth and their destruction over a very, very long period of time, or that of the butterfly over 7 days, or that of an organism over several hours or minutes or seconds. Nothing escapes these 3 fundamental forces. And vata is the fundamental principle of movement, and Pitta is the principle of transformation, and Kapha is the principle of stability. And this stability it could be momentary. It could, when we say stability, sometimes we tend to think that something that is stable for a long period. That's not needed. So even when we talk about the passage of time, from one moment to the next moment, to understand that we are moving from one moment to another, there has to be stability, even though that may be imperceptible. That is the only way to evaluate sequential events, right? Which is time. And that is the principle of the stability. And that for an Ayurvedic practitioner, the doshas are important, very important, but they are much more than this superficial understanding of, okay, if you are overweight, you must be the kapha type. Or if you are somebody that, has a lot of anxiety, you must have a lot of vata. It's not as simple as that. It's much more complex. And I really appreciated you talking about the 3 primary ways of diagnosis, which is common to every field of medicine, one of which is through seeing or through observation. The other is to touch or to feel or to even do procedures, whatever it may be. And the third is the most important, actually, which is history taking, and to talk and to discuss and to understand where the other person is coming from and what their problems are. And this, even in that process, even in these 3 processes, we could see all of these 3 doshas in action, right? Because if I'm talking to somebody, there is the exchange of information, there is the movement of vata, there is the processing of that information into an understanding of what this disorder is, which is pitta, and then in between that process is the imperceptible moments of stability, which is the kapha dosha. So I hope this little video was useful for you in understanding what the doshas are, and to also realize that Ayurveda is much more than just the 3 doshas, even though the 3 doshas could be used in explaining and understanding all of the phenomena in the natural world as well as within ourselves. Thank you.